Hello everyone, welcome back to Next.js playlist. I hope you are enjoying this series. Today we are going to talk about another new concept from Next.js app router. We're going to talk about parallel routes. Often in our application we have a demand of building dashboards, isn't it? So today I'm going to show you what's the right way of building dashboard if you're using Next.js app router. Parallel routes gives us all the tools and utensils that we can actually use in our advantage to build awesome dashboard paradigm. So I hope you enjoyed this video and like this one. And if you do so, please like and share this video so that it reaches others. If I deserve your support, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel because that gives me motivation of creating a lot of awesome content for you. Without any further delay, let's get started. But first, let's understand our requirement a bit. What is the traditional way we have been building dashboards in a React application? And what's the change that we are going to bring in? The page you see on your screen, consider that as a dashboard of a company. The dashboard showing various details like it shows the balance, it shows expenses, it shows profit, and also customer details. List down maybe top 5 or top 4 customers. And also you can go to a list of prime customers and come back to all customer list. Now, if you have to build this dashboard with React, like plain React, not even Next.js, how would you attempt this one? You would certainly attempt in a way that you will have a component for balance, for expense, profit, and the customers. And each of these component would be responsible for fetching data for it and managing the side effects. And with that side effect, you will render the details for each of the component. And then you will compose all this component into a bigger component and will get something like this, a dashboard like this. Along with that, you might also want a header and a footer as we see in the screen. Those are also going to be individual components in your React app. But we're talking about Next.js. And we have learned in the beginning of this series that Next.js is a framework and it has its lot of added advantages over React. One of the advantages, of course, we have learned about the layouting and the paging. We can create layouts, we can reuse layout, we can create pages, we can manage pages in a different way. With same paradigm, if we want to continue with Next.js, instead of handling each of these things like balance, expenses, profit, or customers as component, you can actually manage them as individual pages, and it has various advantages. One of the advantage is each of the page in Next.js can manage its own loading and error state. You know that, right? You can drop a loading.js file or error.js file in the same level of your page, and your loading and error will be handled accordingly. You can actually think about this balance, expense, profit, and customers for a moment are individual pages. So it means you can manage their loading and manage their error state independently to each other, isn't it? That is really, really great because that's where you are already using the power of Next.js fundamentally. So when you're using a framework, use the framework like the framework. Don't use the framework like something else, right? So that's the fundamental rule. It will also have a few added advantage. For example, we know about the routing and the navigation. We know about how to use that link API from Next.js. If I consider this one as a page itself, and if I click on this prime customers, please check the URL at the top, it's changed. So from dashboard, it goes to dashboard/prime. If you're using it as a single component, this is something that you can't achieve unless otherwise you do a lot of hook and crook way using React Router DOM or things like that. But when you're with Next.js, when you're with the framework, you can leverage the strength of the framework to do some of these things with very, very least amount of code, isn't it? So this is where parallel routes comes into picture. Parallel routes is an awesome stuff where you can actually bring multiple pages parallel into one layout. That's one vital use case. Also, another use case is you can conditionally show and hide a particular page on a layout. So we are going to learn about parallel routes with lot of examples and lot of hands-on exercises. Actually, we are going to build this dashboard using parallel routes concepts, and let's do that. You are seeing the VS Code on your screen, and I have a Next.js application along with Tailwind, the same way that we have created in our past videos in this playlist. Along with that, I have done few more things so that it doesn't sound repetitive, and we want to focus on the parallel routes part. So the things that you have already seen in the past videos, those things are already created and scaffolded, but I'll run through them once quick so that you understand and be on sync with whatever I'm going to teach you. All right, so first thing that you see, there is a app folder. Inside the app folder, we have a layout.js. This layout.js and this page.js we get by default whenever we bootstrap a new Next.js project with app router. The layout.js having exactly the same thing except a few things. I have given a title called home. I call this project as Expenso. Maybe it is related to expenses, and a description, the metadata part of it. And then I have imported header and footer. These two things I have created. You have seen in the previous video also, I have created a very minimalistic header and footer, the same thing that I have done over here. And the page that get passed as a parameter to layout, that page is enclosed by the header and footer that I have imported in this layout. Very straightforward thing. And the page, the root page, the home page is having a h2 which says this is a home page, and a link which says go to dashboard with a slash dashboard route. So it means if it is slash dashboard, I should have a folder inside app called dashboard, and inside dashboard I will have a page.js file. So I have a page.js file. It is a simple h2 which says welcome to Expenso dashboard. Nothing more than that, nothing really complex at this point in time. Now along with page.js, it also has its own layout.js. So this layout.js is having a div, and whatever the children, basically this dashboard page that it accepts as a parameter, it is showing over here, it's rendering over here. And along with that, I have given a new metadata for dashboard saying that dashboard Expenso and a description, because previously it was home Expenso and a different description. Okay, to quickly go over the header and footer that we had imported over here, those are inside the components folder. The header looks like this. It says Expenso, just the title of the product, and link to always the home page, so that if you go to some other page, you can click on that particular product name and come back to the home page always. So this is how it is. And the footer is a simple text. It says Expenso, the year. That's it. Now, if I run this particular project locally, the UI, you can imagine there will be a header, footer, and home page with a link to dashboard page. If I go to dashboard page, it will have a text, and clicking on the header text, I can come back to home page. Let's see that. As you see in the screen, this is the app. It says Expenso in the header, and this is home page, go to dashboard, and the footer. If I click on go to dashboard, the routes change to slash dashboard, and I get a message called welcome to Expenso dashboard. Header and footer intact because those are in the layout, so it never gets re-rendered. And then I can click on this guy Expenso, which is already linked to slash, means home page, and it come back to home page. So far so good, our app is understood. Now we are going to introduce parallel routes concept. Now parallel routes that allows you to simultaneously or conditionally render one or more pages within the same layout. Now as we'll be building the dashboard where is going to show the balance, expenses, customers. Now that means we will be bringing those individual pages over here inside the dashboard and show them just like a widget, but those are actually at the background, the individual pages, what we'll be creating as parallel routes. Now parallel routes are created using something called slots. You have to remember this. Slots are nothing but a folder whose name should always starts with the @ symbol. So if I say @team, that means team is a slot. If I say @balance, that means balance is a slot. So if I create folders like @balance, @expense, @customers, it means I am creating the slots. Inside each of the slot, I can create a page, and the slot I can inject it to layout so that the page under the slot can appear under that layout where we are injecting the slot. Sounds a little bit complex. Let's see it in example. In our Expenso app, we need 4 sections. We need one balance, second is expenses, third is profit, and fourth is customers. These are the 4 sections we need. That means these 4 sections we can now serve from 4 individual slots, and each of the slot will have their individual pages, and the slots will inject to the layout. That's what we just now told. So let's go to dashboard, this particular folder, and start creating our slot. The slot can be created with a folder, and the folder name should starts with @. So let us create the first slot called balance. Okay. And then I'll be creating a page.js file inside this. Here I can create a React component. We'll give the name as balance page, and let's this give the text as a balance page for now. All right. So right now I have created a slot, and inside that slot I have created a page. Now how can I use this page in the layout that is there under dashboard? Because all this balance, expenses should come inside the dashboard page, right? So it means I have to now inject this into the layout of dashboard. Now if I come to the layout, you already see there is something has been injected. It's called children. And from the beginning of this particular series, I am keep saying that the page gets implicitly injected to the layout. This is where slot gets used as well, but implicitly. So in this case, the children slot is implicitly getting handled. You don't create it at page that kind of folder explicitly. Next.js handle it implicitly. But for any other custom slots, this is how we will be creating, like add balance. That means if I have to use this add balance slot inside my layout, I have to just pass the name, say balance. Okay. This should be same as the particular folder name without at. Now after this, I can come here and say balance. So it means along with the page of this particular layout, now I am also injecting another slot, another page through the slot, and I'm rendering it. Let's see the UI, because what I'm expecting here from this add balance slot, the page for this and the content for this, like this balance page, this particular text should get injected to my layout, and it should show just below the children, basically the page for this layout, which is nothing but welcome to Expenso dashboard. Just below that, it should show balance page. If that is the case, then we'll know our parallel route started working. Great. As you see, we have this balance page that is appearing just below that heading in the dashboard page. So it means that through slot, I'm able to inject my page as a parallel route to my layout. This is the first step. Great achievement. Now, one thing to say here, if your local server is running and if you're creating this parallel route folder and injecting to the layout, you may not see this getting rendered immediately. You might have to restart the local server so that you can see this new page getting injected correctly. Now, let us do one thing. This balance page, expense page, and the profit page will be using the similar kind of layout. They are just going to show what is the balance amount, expense amount, and the profit amount. So what we can do is now we can create a component, a reusable component that's just going to show a heading like balance and the balance amount, expense amount, profit, and profit amount. And we can just use that component into balance page, expense page, and profit page. Those two pages we are yet to create, we'll be creating just now. All right, so let's get that thing done. Our first 3 pages in this dashboard, let's get it done. Inside the components folder, I have created a very simple React component called metrics.jsx. Let me explain this particular component. I am not writing it in this video because it's a simple component, and so that I can focus on the parallel router more than normal React stuff. Okay, but you can always find this code into the description of this video. The GitHub link is there. You can always pull it. Also see this code by yourself as well in parallel to this video. So let me explain this. It's a very simple React component. Of course, we don't need this import here. It's called metrics. It takes 2 things. One is a label, another is amount. What it does, it has a div. Inside div, we have a h2 where we show the label along with few style. And then this amount we show inside a p tag. But here we are using plain old JavaScript's number formatter and using the US English as a basic local for formatting this number, the default one, and we're formatting any amount gets passed to it. So basically a text label and a particular number format. Now, if I go to our balance segment and inside that, if I go to page.js, instead of this div balance page, let me now import this metrics. Now, after importing, I can use this metrics over here saying metrics. It takes a label. Label, I can put it as balance or balance page, whatever I want. It's a string. As it is a static string, I don't have to give the expression also. And then I can provide an amount. Let's provide some amount over here. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, some amount, right? Some big amount. And that's it. So now this label and amount is going to go as a props over here and the component will be rendered. Now, if I go to UI, do you see this? How it is rendering? I have a balance page and it is showing the balance amount as well. Now, can we create other pages? We are now going to create expense page and the profit page. Let's do this. So for expenses page, the formula is exactly same. Create a new folder over here. Give the name at expenses, and inside expenses, I'll be creating a new page called page.js file. Page.js file will be a simple React component where we can use the same metrics and pass some different values, basically something like this. Imported the metrics. We call this as an expense page, and the label can be expense page, and we are passing some different amount. Now at this stage, things won't work because you have to do another step. What? You have now created another slot, expenses. So you have to tell your layout, in case you want to render this slot into this dashboard layout, you have to tell your layout that you have one more slot created. Its name is expenses, and this expenses one you want to render over here. As simple as that. So let's see if that comes and render correctly on your UI. As I have created a new slot, in case you see that this is not appearing, please restart your local server what you are running on localhost 3000. It should start appearing for you. Do you see that? I have balance page and I have an expense page. Now, can you create the other page? Can you create a profit page similarly? Let's create a profit page once quick. So here I've created a profit page again very quickly. At profit, inside that there is a page.js file, exactly same React component using the same metrics component, passing the level as profit page and a random amount for our demo sake. Now, same thing we have to do. We have to go to layout.js file, pass the slot called profit, and over here I can just do profit. That's it. So I have profit as well. So balance, expenses and profit all are listing. Now, can I list them side by side? Yeah, that is where your layouting comes into picture, right? Instead of doing anything in each of this page level, now I can very well go to the layout where I have included these slots. And here I can say div, enclose balance, expenses and profit inside a div, and put a class name over here, say flex. By default it is flex row. So now it should come balance, expense and profit side by side. You got it. You have balance page, expense page and profit page. Great. Now let us do one more thing. We'll be building another customers page. The customers page will be like a list where I can say what are my customers and what are the earning that I had from them. Similar kind of philosophy. You know by now what you can do. You can even pause this video over here and create a customer slot with add customer, put a page inside that and provide a list of customer with the customer name and a random amount that you have earned from that. Can you do that? I hope you just did it like the one that you see on the screen. But in case you struggle, let me just go through it once more so that you can understand how I have done this all customer list. As usual, I have created add customers and create a page.js file. Inside page.js file, I have a customer list, a very random cooked up customer list, which is having information of each of the customer. Right now I have 4 customers, each of the customer information having a unique ID, a name of the customer and kind of a value like the one that I have earned from this customer. And then what I'm doing over here, I am putting all customers as a heading in the page and passing this customer data to another component called metric list. You can imagine what metric list will be doing. As it is an array, it is going to map through it and then try to render things one by one. So I'm getting it as data. It is just mapping through it and extracting the name of the customer and the value. Again, I'm doing a number format using the JavaScript number format API. So this is what a very simple logic to create the customer page. This is great. Now, why I asked you to create this? Because now we are going to see another powerful thing, a few powerful thing in fact about the parallel routes. First, how creating parallel routes is really helping us to manage individual loading, error, this kind of states. With Next.js, the file convention that you follow for handling an error is error.js file, along with in the same level of your page. For loading, you put a loading.js file. And then you can use this as a fallback whenever an error and the loading happens, right? For error specifically, you really don't have to do anything by yourself because as and when there is a runtime error, this is something that you need to keep in mind. For runtime error, not for the compilation error or the syntax error. For runtime error, whatever you have written inside error.js file, that is what will be shown as your error page. And one more thing, the error.js file has to be a client component because that's how Next.js expects it. Now, what we'll be doing in our one of these pages, either balance, expense, profit or customer page, we are going to produce a runtime error. And we are going to handle that runtime error at the page level using that error.js file that Next.js gives us as a construct. This is the power, guys. I mean, if you are using a component level with React, right, not with Next.js framework, you have to handle that error in that particular component level itself. But here the handling of error is very organic by the framework itself, and we are going to leverage the power of it straight away in that particular page itself so that it is more seamless. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to VS Code. Let us pick customers. That's where we will make a runtime error and we'll catch it with the error.js. So in customers, let's create a new file called error.js. The error.js again going to be a very simple React component. What exactly it does? In fact, a code like this is available in the Next.js documentation also. You can just copy and paste it, or you can create your own React component for error.js. We don't want to spend too much time in writing this. Rather, we'll explain it because it's a simple React component. What it does, it's a React component which return a div. Inside that, it says something went wrong. And your error component in Next.js will get two things. One is the error itself, and second is a method to reset it or retrying it. Okay. So once you get an error, from there you can retrieve the error message, and that's error.message. You are showing it as a reason over here. And once you get this reset, what you can opt for, you can actually have a button, and inside this button you can do an on click and call this reset. So every time user click on it, there will be an attempt to recover by trying the re-render, re-rendering that particular segment. And as we are doing user interactivity like the button and the on click, this has to be a client side component. So that's why we use client directive at the top. So very simple error.js, right? By the way, you can actually wipe it out completely and write here anything that you want. It can be your customized component, but what we try to do, we tried to show what is the exact error happened along with the way to recover from it. Now we are trying to do some kind of runtime error over here, and we'll go to UI and see this particular error.js file is coming into picture or not. So the runtime error, how can we do it? I think one way that we can do it, this is a customer data, right? It's an array. So metric list would expect an array over here because inside that there is a map which is iterating through. Now if I give like this, that means I am just giving it this first customer object. Now this is cannot be iterated through map. It is not an array, it's an object. So it means whenever this program is running, the metric list will get an object instead of an array, and in the runtime is going to throw an error saying that I cannot use map because it's not an array, because dot map is an arrays method. It's not objects method, right? So let's go to UI and see whether the error occurred or not. Boom, we can see, right? Something went wrong. Reason, data.map is not a function because data here is an object, is no more an array. And we have a try again, which I can click, and you see every time it refreshes. See? And if I go to this error, I see this traditional way of indicating where exactly the error happened, right? This is how I can see this. Now, this is what the power, guys. I mean, in each of these pages, you are handling its own state, error state, working state, loading state, everything. And then it will be behaving in the same way how it supposed to work in an individual pages. The thing that you are doing here is like bringing all these pages together, simultaneously rendering them and putting them in a layout so that you are solving one of your valued use case. For me, it is the dashboarding. I hope you liked and you understood this particular advantage. Now we are going to talk about something about the routing within this page itself. Like I can have a link, click on it, and I can change a route. And on that route, for this particular section, I can go somewhere else. Some data I can retrieve and deal with it completely without impacting any other things. How am I going to achieve that? Let's learn that as well. So now the use case we'll be dealing with, from one of the page section, we can create a subroute and go to another page. That sounds really, really strong, isn't it? So what I'm going to do in our page.js file from customers, I am going to import the link from next/link. And right after this h2 over here, I'm going to create this link, which is href to /dashboard/prime, a new path. And it says prime customers. It means there is a link. If I click on it, it is going to fetch the prime customers for me. Right now it is showing the all customers. Okay. And I have added an underlying class so that it looks like a link. Very simple. Now, as I have a /dashboard/prime, so if I click on this, the application will go to /dashboard/prime route. So it will expect a page over there. Now I can go ahead and create a page right under dashboard, under prime folder. I can create a page.js file so that it goes to dashboard/prime. But that's not we are interested in, because if I create a prime folder inside dashboard and a page.js inside that, that prime folder is outside of the context of balance, customers and everything. It's in the context of dashboard. So whenever we are talking about layouts, paging, we have to understand the context on which the information that we are willing to render. In this case, the context is balance. In this case, the context is customer, right? So for us, the prime customers in the context of customers is not in the context of dashboard. So that's the reason the path should be created inside the customers, not inside dashboard. Now, how it can be created? You can create a subpath inside a slot in the same way that you create it for any other path. It means you can create a folder called prime over here inside the slot itself. And inside that, you can do a new file page.js over here. Same thing. Now, none of the slots make themselves appear in your URL path. So it means your URL path is never like dashboard/@customer/prime. They are completely ignored. They are the slots, and their only reason that they are named like this because they can be injected in your layout as props with their name without the @ Otherwise, they do not have any explicit significance on the URL that you will be forming through this layouting, through this paging and things like that. Okay, understood. Now inside page.js, I'm going to show the list of prime customers. Actually, what I'm going to do now, same component I'm going to copy. I'm going to remove a few customers from here. I'm going to change few text. Instead of all customer, I'm going to prime customers. And this particular link I'll be changing to the dashboard again, so that I can go back to dashboard page from the prime customer page. That's how it is. So let me complete that particular page. So here it is, the same page under prime. Here I've taken just two random customers. Exactly the structure is same. Instead of all customer, I'm saying it is a prime customer. I have added another link called all customer, and now I'm going back to slash dashboard. That's it. Before I was passing the customer data, now I'm passing the prime customer data, because that's how I've named my variable. Now if I go to UI, so I see all customers, and then there is a link called prime customers. If I click on this, I go to a new page altogether, prime customers. Now there is a link called all customers. If I click on it, I can go back. Now if I click on prime customer, please notice the URL will change. From dashboard, it becomes slash prime. This is great. This is the power, right? From a sub page, which your user may not know is a sub page at all, is technically a sub page, which is having the power of changing the route. So what does it mean? It means if you want to share this URL with anyone, and when they use this URL, they can directly come to your dashboards, this particular state. Now think about doing this with a component, merely React component. That will be harder for you, right? To do it, that particular implementation. Now in this case, it is much easier, because now your deep linking, your bookmarking, all this thing would be working seamlessly. But there is a catch though. This all works because we are in a state which is called an active state. What is active state? It means that we are in a running state. All the pages are running together. There is no hard reloading of this particular page. Everything is stitched together, work seamlessly. So we can actually go back, come, and all these things. But the moment I do a reload, you will see what happened. That's what is going to happen. Why? Because if there is a reload happening, at the reload time, it is trying to find out under dashboard, do I have something called a prime path or not? Because right now when I'm reloading, it is no more in active state. So it doesn't know, or was not able to compute, that there was a customer slot. Inside that there was a prime. We didn't tell Next.js about that. We have to tell Next.js some way, saying that, hey Next.js, this particular slash prime is only there in a particular slot. In other slot, this slash prime is not available. So for other slot, you should treat something or take something as default, and only for the customer slot you go for this slash prime, and you will find a page there. We have to tell Next.js explicitly for this particular use case, when somebody hard reload your application and you are having a subpath from a slot and you are on that particular subpath, you are going to get a 404. How are you going to handle it? Let's see that. To understand it better, let us look into this hierarchy once more. So we have a customer, we have a prime, and in this level we have a page. But under balance, we don't have such thing prime. Under expenses, we don't have prime. Under profit, we don't have prime. Now, under dashboard also, we don't have prime. That's why we're getting 404. Now, to tackle this one, what do you need to do? You need to create a page called default.js page, wherever the matching route is not there. So matching route is there under customer as prime. Matching route is not there under balance, expenses, profit, as well as under dashboard. So you are going to create a default.js file on every such route where this matching subroute is not there. So it means under dashboard, I'm going to create something called a default.js file. Now, what will be the content of the default.js file? It will be another regular React component. You can create any component. If your logic is like that, that when somebody is going to slash dashboard slash prime and somebody hard reload, instead of keeping the dashboard state intact, you want to give certain different kind of message, you put that in this component. Okay. But if you want that your all this state, how it was before, will be exactly same and the customer experience would be exactly same, there is another way that you can do this. Whatever the content of your page.js for that particular route, you can exactly put the same content into your default.js as well. Something like this. So here the default.js we are talking about at the dashboard level. So at this level, I have now created a React component called default. Make sure you don't give a small default, because that's a keyword. Or you can give it like default root page or whatever. This is or default dashboard page. It's up to you, like how you want to name this particular component. And here this return is exactly same as whatever I have in the respective page. So it means instead of giving 404 now, if I go to dashboard slash whatever subpath, for example, prime. For this dashboard, it is going to give the exactly the same thing whatever was there in the page. So it means in the page it was like welcome to Expenso dashboard. I'm going to get welcome to Expenso dashboard from the dashboard page itself. Similarly, for balance also, I can go and create a new file called default.js and create a default component with the same content with my page.js file, so that when this situation occur, whatever was there in that balance particular page, same thing will be showing for the balance itself. There won't be any change. Now, this is the way I am handling my use case. Your use case could be completely different. You might want to show an explicit message saying that this particular route is not available for balance, or this information is not available for balance. Very well, you can actually do that. Similarly, now for expenses and profit, let us create the default.js pages. So I have created a default.js page for expenses. I have created a default.js for profit. So all default.js is covered, everything I've created. Hope you understood this particular fundamental aspects. Now I will go to UI and I'm going to refresh. I'm not getting any more 404. It's because whenever I'm refreshing the hard reloading, what is happening? This will get its prime customers page. That's how it is. This is falling to its default.js, which is now same as its page content. This is also same. This is also same. Their individual page content. In fact, the dashboard's page content was welcome to Expenso dashboard. That also we kept same into dashboard default.js. Even though it is supposed to give 404 at the background, but we have handled. Now in your default.js of each of this non-matching route, you can handle it in a completely different way. You can say that no balance available for prime customer, no expenses available for prime customer. You can actually give whatever you want over that. Is completely up to your use cases. The last use case we are going to talk about is about conditional rendering of your page using parallel routes in the same layout. Let's take an use case like this. All customers we have, right? Only a super admin in your organization can see this particular page on the dashboard. No other admin, no other user are supposed to see this particular section of the dashboard. How are you going to do that? Under SRC, let's create a new folder called lib, and inside that we'll be creating something called auth.js. We want to fake certain conditions over here. Here we'll say export const is super admin. If that is the case, then just return true. So if I return true, it's a super admin. If I return false, it's not a super admin. Very, very easy, fake job. So now if I go to app again, and inside app, inside dashboard, the dashboard's layout over here. Now this particular div where we show the customers, here what we can do, first we'll import is super admin, and here const super admin equals to is super admin. Now I'll take this variable, I can put a condition over here. If it is super admin, only in that case I'm interested in show this particular div, otherwise not, right? Now I have made super admin as true, so if I go to UI, it is there. Now let's make super admin as false and come back to UI. Here let's make it false. Let's go back to UI. Tada, customer thing has gone. So this is how a non-super admin is going to see your dashboard. If a super admin comes in, super admin is going to see the table as well. Again, the power of parallel routes. So I hope that with all these use cases, now if you had any doubts about what is parallel routes and why we should be using it, you have all the answers. So did you enjoy it? Did you learn something new? If yes, then please like and share this video and subscribe to this channel, because I'm putting a lot of effort to teach you whatever I learn at the daily basis. So if you subscribe to tapaScript, it will be a great support, so that it motivates me to create such content again and again for you. See you again in the same playlist with another interesting video in few days. Thank you.